All right, today we are getting an introduction to algebra. Algebra, you've probably heard of it, maybe you know what it is, but in a nutshell, algebra simply means we use letters or symbols, but letters generally, to represent numbers in mathematical equations. So we're using letters to represent numbers in math equations. Cool, right? Now, you might be wondering, why in the world do I need to do that? Well, the reason is that so many things in our scientific and mathematical world involve the unknown. So often, these letters represent something that is unknown. Or something that changes. But in general, it's something that is an unknown number. And so we use those letters because we might know an equation. We might know what the equation is, but we might not know the exact number or quantity. And this comes in handy in so many ways. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have a job raking leaves for my neighbors, okay? I charge $10 for every yard, for every yard that I rake, for every customer that I have. Now, if I know that, then what I don't know right now is how many yards am I going to be able to work on this weekend. So what I need to know now is, how do I make $20? Because I'm saving up for, let's pretend I'm saving up for some Pokemon cards, okay? So the equation, and I hope I don't confuse you here, is going to be, I have $10 multiplied by a number I don't know. I'm going to call it A. Actually, 10 times A, and it's going to give me $20. So what A represents is how many yards I need to work on and rake their leaves. Now, by looking at this equation, I know, okay, I know that 10 times 2 equals 20, which means A equals 2. And it means I need to rake the leaves in 2 yards to make my $20. Now, without getting too far into that part of it, let's just talk about the basics of algebra. So let's say I have an equation with addition. 2 plus A, we'll use the letter A, and it can be any letter, equals 5. Usually, you will be asked to solve for the unknown or solve for A. That's usually the language that we use, solve for A. And when a problem asks to solve for A or solve for an unknown number, it's asking you to find out what that letter represents in terms of an actual number. Find out what A is. Well, let's look at the equation again. 2 plus A equals 5. I happen to know that 2 plus 3 equals 5, so A must be 3. A equals 3. Let me double check by writing it out. 2 plus 3 equals 5. It checks. So that's all that algebra is. It is finding out what the unknown letters stand for. Let's do some more examples. Let's say I have a problem that says 3 plus x equals 10. Now notice x also looks like the multiplication symbol. And oftentimes, kids will say that that's confusing. But as you do more and more algebra, you will find that it gets easier to understand that x is a letter when we do algebra. 3 plus x equals 10. Well, I know my addition facts, so I know that x must equal 7 because 3 plus 7 equals 10. Let's do a check. 3 plus 7, equals 10. That does check. So x does equal 7. Now we can do this with multiplication, division, and other operations. Let's try it with multiplication. Let's say I have the problem 2y equals 8, and I am asked to solve for y. I have to find out what y is. Well, 2 times some number equals 8. I happen to know that 2 times 4 equals 8 because I know my multiplication facts. So I believe y equals 4. Let's check it out. 2 times 4 equals 8. Yep, it checks. All right. Now, as you get deeper into working with algebra, you're going to learn how to solve more complex equations with algebra without just randomly substituting in numbers for letters. But right now, we're just getting an introduction. Now, again, the reason that we, you know what, I want to tell you something very important. You will notice that when I did 2 times y, I did not put in the symbol, the multiplication symbol. The reason is we do not in algebra use x to indicate multiplication. The reason is that x is a letter, and that can cause confusion. So what we do is we put, with multiplication, we can put, let me use a different color, we can put a number next to a letter, in this case x, 3x equals 12. Now, notice this doesn't mean 3 times, it means 3 times some number equals 12. And that is because in algebra, any number next to a letter, 2y, 4y, 4x, 2y, 3a, 4b, these all represent multiplication expressions. 2 times y, 2 times y, 4 times y, 3 times a, 4 times x, and 4 times b. Now back to our original equation up here, 3 times x equals 12. Well, I know that 3 times 4 equals 12. 3 times 4. So if I substitute 4 in for x, let's do it. 3 times 4 equals 12. Does it check? It checks. So x equals 4. Now, really quick, before we end this video, I want to tell you about different ways that we express multiplication in an equation. We can say 4 times y equals 8. But it's better to say 4y equals 8. It's easier to understand that that means 4 times y. Another way that we can express this is 4 with a little circle in the middle, 4 times y. This little dot represents multiplication. We can also do it that way. There's one other way, which is parentheses next to each other also mean multiplication. But we're not actually going to work on that for a little while. For now, we're mostly going to use a number next to a letter. So, and then, you know, what you could do also is you could say 4 times 2 equals 8. You could say 4 in parentheses, 4 times 2 also equals 8. You could write it like that. So I hope you found this video helpful, and we will continue to work on it. Till next time.